Hey, this is Mosquito, also known as Chris. Welcome to an old version of the shop. Today we're going to be working on a flag case with a couple drawers underneath it. And starting out with a little bit of curly maple here, cutting two 45-degree miters that'll eventually make up the top joint of this thing. And then after that, we take it to the shooting board just to clean that up a little. And we route a profile on the front edge just to make it a little bit more decorative, I guess. And then here I'm using my overarm pin router, and there's probably better ways to do this, but I'm just hogging out a ton of material to kind of get a giant rabbet basically. And then I'm cross-cutting these at the table saw to get these down to the length that I needed to. And again, this is mitered because it'll adjoin the bottom piece mitered, so it'll all kind of make the right triangle. And then here I'm just marking out to cut a notch, and this notch is basically going to fit over the corresponding molding on the bottom piece so that it all sits down together, making room for that rabbet. And here you can kind of see the hollow that I was talking about for that giant rabbet. For now, it's just there, but this is the first test fit, and you can kind of see how those notches go over it. And then I cut off the extra little bit that was just there for making those, I guess they were wide grooves at that point. And now we are going to glue up the top, and I have a little bit of tape on the other side of the miter, that standard old tape trick, and then clamping. Tape works for that too. So bunch of tape, hold it in place, and then this is just like a spline cutting jig. It's a pretty terrible one, but got the job done. Have a couple of walnut splines since the bottom will be walnut, and got those glued in place. And then I end up flush cutting these and cleaning them up with a chisel. And then eventually this will all get sanded, so that'll get all prettified later. And then we're moving on to milling up some walnut for the drawer case. So this is just a piece of walnut, run it over the jointer, get it straight flat, and then cut a bunch of lengths and rip them down to the right size on the table saw. And then after that, dovetails. Lots of dovetails. Actually, not a ton. It was only 3 tails per corner, I guess. So whatever that is, 12 dovetails. But cutting them out by hand, so lots of work to do here, but you can get the job done. And just thought I'd let you know, this is an old video, so things might be in different places. The shop might look a lot different. Some of the tools might look different, but essentially, I did this project a while ago. I just never finished fully editing it, and I started going through some of those, and I think I'm going to release some. So this is the first one. Hope you enjoy these old projects. After I had the sides dovetailed, I decided I'm going to put a divider in the middle. Originally, I was just going to make one drawer, but I think that would be a bit too large. So here I'm cutting out a recess at the very end. So this is kind of the beginning of what would be the dado for the center divider. And then I come in with the saw and define the rest of that dado. So there are other ways to do this too, but this is one of the ways that I actually really like. So basically it's like a house dado or whatever. So come back with the chisel and just rip out a lot of that waste, get it close to depth, and then we come back in here with the router plane and just finish it all up. So do that to the top and the bottom, and then we've got a nice little dado for our divider. And then I decided I wanted to have a dovetail in the front just to kind of help hold it together. I'm pretty sure the glue will be enough, but I just thought this would look better too. So cutting a little bit of a dovetail here and just kind of getting it to look a little bit nicer. And the plan for this is only about a 1/4 inch deep, but just chopping it out. And then, shoot, I was worried about that. So CA glue and a little bit of clamping and then some scraping, and just you and I will know about that one. Don't tell anyone. And then just like that, we've got a center divider with a dado and a dovetail. And I was actually pretty pleased with how that turned out, uh, minus the broken piece thing. Here's a little bit of a sneak peek. So there's that drawer case and then the actual flag case here. And now we just got to finish the rest. On that journey to finishing the rest of it, pair of drawers. So I have some poplar, 3/4 inch for the front, and I'm just cutting some half blind dovetails. I cut the 45 with the saw, and then I come in and start knocking out some of that waste with the chisel, just kind of alternating between chopping the end grain sides and then chopping from the end to split it out. And then I come in and clean it up with the router plane just to get a consistent depth on all the pieces and pound them together. I'm using 3/4 inch fronts and 3/8 inch sides and backs. So here I'm going to have a slightly shorter back piece so I can slide the bottom in. So I'm marking that out for yet more dovetails. And I'm just going to rewind here for a second. There's this little pin, I guess, that I used in the groove of the side that I used to align with the bottom of the back piece. So I don't know where I picked that up, but it's a handy trick to have in your back pocket if you're going to be cutting some dovetails where you're going to slide the drawer bottom in. And it always pays to do a couple of practice ones first. So I did my practice and I was pretty pleased with how these dovetails turned out. And with those boxes done, it was time to go back to the pin router, and I'm just cutting a rabbet all the way around or on 3 sides of some walnut, 1/8 inch, and these are the drawer bottoms. They just slide in place. And then I had some curly birdseye zebrawood veneer, so I'm just using some hot hide glue, brush it on the drawer front, brush another layer on the actual veneer, and then flip it over. I put a little bit of water on it just to keep it from cracking and doing weird things. And then I have it's called a veneer hammer, and it's basically a big squeegee, and you squeeze the extra glue and the air out. And then I just kind of come through and tap with my fingernail to see if there's any hollows that I need to work on. And then I cut off the extra bits of veneer with a knife, and well, then we have a drawer front that we can glue together. I also used that hot hide glue for all of the joinery when I was gluing up these. I don't know why. I didn't really need to, but it gets the job done. And if I ever need to fix one in the future, well, that makes it easy to do. So just assembling all these drawers and then I clamp them up. And when I do the clamping, you'll see that there's a couple of blocks taped to each corner. And these are just cut specifically to put pressure on the tails and nothing else. So just focusing the pressure where I want it when I'm clamping up instead of on the entire drawer side. Just want to make sure that those pins are fully seated. And then it was time to pre-finish a bunch of the parts. So this is actually a back panel with the same zebra wood veneer on it, and then the back side of it is just oak to keep the veneer from making it buckle in one direction. This will be behind all the drawers. And I'm just using some blonde shellac. I sand it up to about 600 grit, and then I hit it with some paste wax and buff it out to a nice finish. But yeah, just do the same to all the parts, and that's pretty much it. Right. So I also pre-finished the inside of the drawer case, so I'll have to go and glue that up once this is done. So just finishing the inside, well, it's easily accessible, but after that, we still have to glue it up. Then we're good to go. Okay, carry on. So there's a few extra pieces here, a couple of strips that just hold the flag case up off the drawers, but I used threaded inserts and some screws, some Allen head screws that go through both that base plate and the drawer case into the base plate that just kind of holds all those pieces together. So it all goes together fairly easily. Then it was time to get a piece of glass made or just cut and installed. So I've got the backboard in place, I've got some packing paper in the middle and the glass in the front. And I am quite pleased with how that turned out. I I really like the way this looks. The all the different woods really work together. And so the thing about this project was the flag case itself was for my uncle. It was something that he asked me to make, and he wanted something that was nice but not overly fancy or crazy expensive. And well, the flag that goes in this is actually my grandfather's burial flag. So this project meant quite a lot to me, and I'm just really happy that my uncle would trust me to make this flag case for him and for my grandfather. So well, as always, I appreciate those of you that stuck around and watched this video, and hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you in the next one.